Welcome to the new My Football Club podcast. Welcome again to the new My Football Club podcast. I'm your host, Augustine Sasso. You can email me at augustine.sasso@myfootballclub.co.uk with your comments. Well, it seems like a long time ago, but Thursday, the Fleet played one of the great games of the year, and that coming a week after the Welling dismantling. Even though the Fleet lost to AFC Wimbledon 3-2 in extra time, that game proved that the Fleet can stand with anybody. I interviewed Charles on Friday. You can tell how exhausted we both are trying to talk football. Here then is that interview.
Hello?
Hey Charles, it's Augustine. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm okay. A little bit of a hangover, obviously, but, and other things. But I'm okay.
Did you see the game?
I caught, the last 15 minutes. I didn't catch the extra time. I didn't see it. I taped it, but I didn't get a chance to see it. I was listening to the commentary, the Ken Online commentary, so it seemed like it was a fantastic game. And total heartbreak.
Yeah.
How would you characterize the game?
It was one of those games that at the end of it, you didn't quite know what to think. I interviewed Liam after the game for BBC Radio 10, and he was still trying to come to terms with it. He was really a mixture of emotions, and I think most people that were there were feeling the same way, because on one hand it was a huge disappointment, but on the other hand it was absolute pride, and everybody was thrilled at the way the team played, and not just that, the way the fans conducted themselves, the club conducted itself, how the event went off, everything. It was almost the perfect evening, but for the late goals that Wimbledon scored to get themselves out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, sort of 24 hours after the event, as we speak, it's still very difficult to put all your thoughts in order, because it was a thoroughly absorbing, exciting, passionate game that even the most hard-nosed, neutral observer would have said it was a fantastic game of football. And the Fleet played their part. And not only that, they matched Wimbledon. They stood there toe-to-toe. And you really would not know which of the two sides were the highest placed non-league team in the country, and which team was a division below them. If only the club can resolve some of the off-the-field issues that we know about only too well.
Mm-hmm.
You think that if we could keep the side together and grow these young players under Liam's management, the future would be a fantastic prospect, but we've got a lot of hurdles to overcome. But last night, let's look back, let's favour the performance, and just applaud everything that the team did.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I was following the game online, so I was definitely excited, but I wasn't taken on that roller coaster ride that anybody who was at the game went through. I mean, that you know, but that's definitely clear. And so last night, and maybe it was this morning, I was reflecting on the game, and I thought you were right. AFC Wimbledon is the top non-league team. Well, the upside is that the Fleet can play, we know this for a fact, they can play with anybody. And so this bodes well for the FA Trophy run. You know, coming up.
From here on in, we're not going to play another team this season higher placed than Wimbledon in any competition. You know, they are, as it stands at the moment, the toughest team we could play. So whatever we place in the league or the FA Trophy shouldn't be as tough as Wimbledon. And if we play the way that we did last night, we will beat anybody. You know, we were about 15 seconds away from beating them last night. You know, it would have been a remarkable achievement. You know, the Wimbledon guys, you know, around me in the press box and the director's box, they knew they got out of jail. I tell you, they were so relieved at the end of the game. And they were so full of praise for the way our club presented itself and the way our team played. You know, they knew that they were very, very lucky to get the late goals, to keep them in the game and then win the game. And, you know, you look forward to the league games that are coming up, and you look forward to the trophy game against Bromley. I mean, that's going to be a heck of a game because it's a local derby apart from anything else. And Bromley are going really well. Well, we've drawn at Bromley already this season, and I think we're playing better now than we did then. So you've got to think, you know, Tuesday evening, that is going to be one hell of a game.
I totally agree. I would think from a psychological point of view that hopefully these players, you know, mental, that they can put the Wimbledon game, at least the loss, behind them. Not the way they played, not the way they prepared, well, whatever way that was, and go in against Bromley, you know, with positives. I agree. I think that they will. It'll be a heck of a game. And
there's one drawback though in the Bromley game, and that is that Ashley Carew will be suspended for that sending off at AFC Wimbledon 13 days ago, and he will be missing. And I would imagine that his place in midfield could be taken by Joe Howe. Who's been the regular man to come on in the last two games. And we will miss Ashley's creative drive. I mean, last night he scored a penalty and he scored an absolutely exquisite goal from outside the box. And we will miss that against Bromley. So, you know, he would have been fired up because he's a former Bromley player. And missing Ashley is going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. But, you know, it's going to take on a new dimension that other players are going to need to step up and be the creative force.
One thing we haven't talked about is how a team can go on a 15-game unbeaten streak. And that was secondary, I think, to all the... last week, we played Welling, beat them, dismantled them. Then a very tough game against Maidenhead, I believe. We want to talk about that. But this team has shown mental toughness because 15-game winning unbeaten streak doesn't. You don't pull that off with smoke and mirrors. There's substance.
I think the streak, a lot of the streak is down to the stability in the tie. But, you know, I think 6 games of the streak, it was an unchanged tie. We had to make a change on Saturday because Duncan was suspended. You know, we're going to lose Ashley Carew. But I think Liam is trying to make as few changes as possible. And I think that is the key to building continuity and consistency. If you can get continuity and consistency, the players get to know each other better, they get to trust each other, they trust the manager, they know their job, and it all kind of falls into place. I mean, when we played Welling, we dismantled Welling, a very good Welling side. We dismantled them. Maidenhead, we should have dismantled Maidenhead, but it was one of those days that it just didn't quite go for us. Bromley, you want to think we're going to win in front of the home crowd, but as I say, we've got to get into that game, without actually Peru, and he's a big player for the club now.
Wow. Yep. Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, anything can happen against Bromley. I'm not saying, they're going to win. I don't think anybody's saying that. I think they go into that game favored. They go into that game with a tough mental attitude. The team does, and I think you got to like the chances. That's.
One of the problems with the Bromley game is I think we quite like the idea of being the underdogs. We can't be the underdogs in that game. The world, literally the world, saw how good the Fleet can play against AFC Wimbledon through television. And now, the downside is that every team in our league, every team we could play in the FA Trophy, they can watch the pace of that game and, they can scout out the way we play. But on the other hand, they'll watch it and they'll think, gee whiz, this team can play football. How are we going to stop them? And I would have thought, if anybody from Bromley was watching that game last night, they would have looked at it and thought, holy cow, Ebbsfleet, they're playing, on level terms with the team top of the Blue Square Premier. They're playing far beyond Blue Square South standard.
Yeah.